there I was, minding my own business, and I see all this buildup on the shock. I'm thinking, dang it, shocks are blown out. Nope, it's actually a caliper leak. When I was doing the brake job here, you see my new shiny rotors and everything like that. You guys don't watch those videos, so I didn't film it. And when I was doing it, I saw the piston in here was leaking, which means the seal's bad. You can rebuild these. I might rebuild this just for shiggles, but for now, I decided to push the easy button and just buy new ones from TRQ. TRQ is a pretty good brand. I don't get anything by saying that. I like using them. Their stuff seems to work, and this is the part number for the Mazda CX-5 if you need it. I didn't look up any how-to videos or manuals. I don't think it's going to be that hard, and I've done calipers before. You've got one bolt here, that pulls the caliper from the housing, and then you've got one bolt here that's probably a banjo bolt. You can tell by the way that it is. That comes out, you're going to leak a bunch of brake fluid, so put a catch pan onto there, or maybe, you know, an old t-shirt. And then this is unique. We've got the parking brake right here, and usually on these rear rotors, they have a drum built in, and it's shoes that expand, but on the Mazda, it actually pulls the parking brake and then sets the caliper. That's kind of a different but fun way to do it. And then once we get this cable disconnected, we're going to have to push these little clips through so I can push through the housing. That's going to be the most challenging part of this job. Well, minus the brake bleed. And I think I'm going to take the caliper off first. If you guys know a better way to do it, comment below. These two bolts are a 14 millimeter. Pop right out. And now I might get cute with this. Disconnect the brake line, attach it to the new caliper before I disconnect this so I don't risk losing a ton of fluid, and I can move this a little more freely without bending or cranking on this hose. If you don't know how to bleed brakes, you're going to want to watch the video that we're going to make about how to do that, or don't do this job yourself if that kind of thing is beyond your skill set, because then you won't be able to stop and you'll probably crash and hurt somebody or yourself. So don't do it. Bonus points, use an S-hook to prevent what just happened. Silly Kyle. Come on now. There is not a great place to hang a caliper on this car, so bam, nailed it. Before I open the line, I filled the master cylinder with .3 brake fluid. That's what this vehicle calls for. You want to make sure that's topped off so that you don't run that dry, because if you run it dry, you get air bubbles in the system more so than you already had, and it just makes your life way harder. So top off the master cylinder as you do this. Now, if you're going to rebuild this part, you're going to have to get a couple of copper washers, because these are not reusable. They're crush washers. And if you buy the new part from a reputable source, it's going to come with a new banjo fitting and new copper washers. They have a tiny little hole, sometimes on both sides, sometimes on one side, and then the bolt itself is a little hole, and the fluid goes through the bolt. Okay, this is the part where we got to be quick. Nope. Okay, I probably should have put a rag under like I told you guys to do, but that's okay. Maybe should have grabbed a rag for my hands too. Come on, this is like amateur hour over here. Well, let's be honest, the whole channel is amateur hour. Some of you even take the liberty to comment about that. We appreciate that, because we sometimes forget that we're amateurs until you tell us. Talking to you there, Subi John 95. Now, what do you think I'm doing wrong here? Never have I ever dealt with a copper washer that is keeping the banjo fitting in place, and I would prefer this not to be the case. Come on. So what I'm doing is I'm holding on to the washer as I thread it out of the bolt. I've never had to do that, but here I am doing it, so you might have to. Now this line also has a hook on it, and the caliper has a little recess for that hook. What that does is that allows you to make sure that you're putting it in the right way. If you were my copper washer that I literally just had in my hand. Okay, bolt through, copper washer, and now drop everything. Put the hook in place, grab yourself a third set of hands, and completely fail. Fail again. And brake fluid, if you don't know this, is actually a really effective cleaner, except it'll destroy your paint. Just make sure you don't get this on any painted surfaces, and be careful when you're reassembling. I have air tools in this shop, and I'm over here like a caveman using sticks and stones to do this job. And that bolt is all tight with the new washers on the new caliper, so everything should be good to go there. The system is closed again. I really didn't lose that much fluid. But remember, the new one here is empty. We're gonna have to fill this caliper when we bleed the brakes to get everything through. Fortunately though, that should be a pretty straightforward process. I will show you gravity bleeding, buddy bleeding, and vacuum bleeding. Now, let's party with this parking brake. I'm already struggling, but I see this bolt here, and I think that's a stopper, because when I go to move this, it stops when it hits that. I'm going to remove this and see if it allows me to push this further and get this cable out. Again, if you know a better way to do this, please comment below. Number 6 Allen key, if you were wondering. That's out. See if my theory was correct. Yes, it was. Now I'm running into this issue of being able to hold this in the extended position because the spring is just kind of tight. So I'm gonna pull the spring off, drop it anywhere. Push this. Oh, get my glove caught. Grab another set of hands. There we go. It's out. In might be harder. All right, I'm gonna use a flathead, push on these little clips, and try to push the cable through this hole. Easier said than done, really. Hindsight being what it is, I should have started with this. Might do that on the other side. Put the caliper back in its spot here so I can let the car hold it while I push on this. That might make my life a little easier. Okay, you saw me struggle, but I got it. I'm not going to be able to get your eyeballs close enough here. But if you look, if you can, this part has a little bit of recess. So this banjo fitting, you don't really have to get that hole lined up. It's not the end of the world if you don't. I like to get them lined up because of fluid dynamics and science. But if it's off a little bit, like this one's going to be, it should still work. Now, if you're having a problem where one caliper is not gripping, or one is gripping before the other or whatever, then it could be something to do with this hole alignment. It could also be something to do with the way that you bled it. Again, I just like to get it lined up because that's what makes sense in my brain hole. Also, you'll notice I'm doing this again because the calipers are side specific. So that's a good thing to know. Yep. And that's why we encourage people to watch this channel, you know, because we make a lot of mistakes and we're very transparent about them. You guys ever seen that YouTube video where the guy's like, this is easy, took me 10 minutes in my driveway? Yeah, sure it did. It didn't. You made a bunch of mistakes and then you made it look like you knew what you were doing with the magic of editing. Whereas me, I don't care. I'm going to show you all the process. Oh, like getting my glove in the hole. That's bad. Okay. Okay, there we go. The next thing that may or may not apply to you is you might replace this housing. Now, the caliper kit that I bought came with the new housing. I don't think they all do, but because mine did, I'm going to go ahead and replace on it. Pull my brand new pads out. Perfect. Those are really tight. I think I was the one that installed it last time. Sometimes I'm stronger than I think I am. That's not true. Again, I have air tools. I don't know why I'm not using them. I'm over it. Get some air tools or electric tools. Should have moved my knee. Okay, got the new one set in there. You're still gonna have to take the caliper off of the bracket because you gotta get your pads in there. Putting my pads back in now and pop this bolt in on the bottom. It doesn't really matter if you go top or bottom first, but do one and then you can pivot the other one into place. And you'll notice these calipers have a spot to grab on a wrench. So when you go to torque it down, if it's spinning on you and not torquing properly, then you can put a wrench on it and get it to go. What's the torque spec? Yeah, it's scooting tight. Now I'm going to take that little bolt out from the back, and you'll notice I'm doing this a little bit different. I wanted to play with it and see if it makes sense to just do it all while it's sitting on the car. And if that does make sense, then that's how I'll do the other side. Okay, push the cable through. Got it. And then, nice. That worked out really well. I didn't even have to take the spring off, so I think that's the way to go. When you're putting it back together, it likes to weeble wobble on you. So you have to use a couple of hands, hold it tight and aligned while you tighten the bolt. And then again, good and tight. That's a win. All we got to do is bleed, and well, the other side, and then we'll do the bleeding process. Passenger side, let's see if we can figure out a better order of operation, something a little more efficient. I'm gonna start with that bolt that holds the stopper. This one's kind of seized up. Took the spring off. Moving on to the caliper housing bolt. And then, in an effort to be more efficient, I realized the way I did it before is actually pretty much the way to do it, because you got to take the caliper off to get the pads out. Otherwise you can't get the pads out of the housing, and you're gonna have to reinstall stuff anyways because it's like an out and in type of iteration. If you leave the caliper on with the pads in and the rotor on, you're never gonna get this cable off because every time you pull on it, it squeezes the rotor that's in the way. And yeah, so you know what? Do it the other way. Don't do what I'm about to do. I'm just going to turn the camera off and finish the job, and then we'll go to bleeding. Bleeding brakes is pretty easy.